Hello, I got your address through a friend. I went on your website and the content is so close to what I've been through on my mission that I want to share with you my experience in the field. I was sent for a 6-month contract to Montenegro by a humanitarian organization. I'd been traveling quite extensively before, but this was my first mission. Recruitment had been quick, with no training and no briefing. I found myself in the field, without notice, slightly bewildered. Very quickly, the incoherence and bad organization on the spot led me to voice my disagreement to have to work under those conditions. The only reply was to send me to a faraway and isolated place in the mountains on the border of Kosovo to take care of a gypsy community living in a camp. I had to play all the roles in one: project coordinator, administrator, part-time translator, logistician, educator. Of course, with no knowledge of the language, however, with the help of a translator to whom I confided more often than not. I was the only expat within 40 miles. I had obviously a severe work overload together with poor material means to achieve what was expected from me. It triggered a lot of stress and a pervading feeling of incompetence, powerlessness, and shame of not being able to perform correctly. I ended up exhausted. Of course, I had my own professional training, but it was my first mission, and my organization had given me no preparation. The living conditions were very hard. The temperature could go down to 30 degrees below zero. I had to travel to Kosovo alone in a rundown vehicle. Actually, I had a severe car accident with, fortunately, no negative consequences. The military and police presence everywhere felt threatening. I had little to eat and no time for that, not to talk about time for myself and respite from the situation. My contacts with the refugees were the only positive thing in my life there, but their sometimes horrific stories slowly got to me, and often I couldn't sleep. Perhaps the worst was my feeling of loneliness. I had no material or moral help from my organization. Rather, their response was more often aggressive, and debriefings from my boss, who came to see the camp from time to time, non-existent. After 3 months, I wanted to resign. They sent a volunteer to replace me, but confronted with the situation, she left after 3 days. So I finally stayed on for the last 3 months of my contract, and when finished, the organization wanted me to stay on for another 6 months. When I came back home, I had no debriefing whatsoever. The HR department thought that I'd complained enough and wouldn't hear another word. When back home, I had to face exhaustion, moral and physical, flashbacks, attacks of dread, anxiety, bad sleep and nightmares, skin problems, etc. So I decided to follow a therapy, and now, a year later, I feel better. But I still feel very depressed with suicidal fantasies from time to time. It's difficult for me to accept this situation, and sometimes I wonder if I'm not going crazy. I can't talk to my family and friends here about all this. Perhaps I'm too proud, but I feel they couldn't understand. I need to be reassured that I am, after all, a normal person. I have plans for my life now, but the weight of my mission is still on me. I'd like to be able to laugh, forget, and get on with it. Perhaps it's a question of time. But how long? Thank you for reading my story. I shall be expecting your reply. Karen.